Ladies and gentlemen, imagine you are sitting down with your sibling. You have a big bag of candy while your sister only has one piece. Your parents then offer you 2 candies, then give your sister while also giving you 2. Now you have a mountain of candy while you have your sad sister still craving for sugar. The question that this scenario sparks is did the parents do the right thing? Did they not just hurt the sister's heart and feelings by just leaving her deprived of sugar while her brother strives with the unneeded help? It sparks the biggest question of motion, which is, what is fairness? How do we grant fairness? I believe this motion is perfectly aligned with this problem and will be the key to grant fairness among college applicants. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to start things off, I like to state out the main topics I'm going to talk about in this debate. Number one, why we as a government believe that we must do this, the sense of urgency that we believe is here, and why it's the only option. And second of all, we want to talk about why this will bring positive impacts for our status quo, not only for these students, but also for universities. Now, moving on, I want to state out some failures that our status quo has made. Number one, without scholarships, okay, there's now no way for the poor to actually get higher level of education. There's no way of them developing to become greater people because they don't have the chance to get into universities because they are expensive. Some of these people don't even have the chance to go to schools. Universities are very, very expensive, and scholarships, right, in status quo, they can tend to be discriminative. And wealthy people, right, they don't need these scholarships. Who needs these scholarships are the people that are poor, that need that need money because they don't have the money. So with that being said, we have a clear goal. We want to create a fair environment for competition among students, whilst also producing better quality students as a nice little side effect, and give poverty a chance to actually develop, to grow, to branch out and get out of poverty, to end that chain of poverty among generations. Our stance is clear. We will not stand with the status quo because we deem it as unfair and it should be stopped as fast as possible. Moving on to my first argument. Why is it okay for us to do this? First of all, I just want to clarify that first. We are obviously the government of this country, okay? So what justifies us as the government to create this regulation? I have a couple of answers for this. Number one, we as a government have the utmost responsibility to cater towards our citizens' need, to create the most fair and effective education in our country. And if we keep on following the status quo, we will keep on veering off and walk away from fulfilling our responsibility. And number two, why are scholarships even made at the first place? You must ask that. Why were they made? To appreciate the efforts of people, or to help the lower class, or to help the people that don't have the chance, that don't have the financial advantages to get into universities? Why were they made? They were made to give a chance towards the less fortunate. They were made to help the poor. Number three, this is very crucial. It is so needed in the status quo because students that lack an income, right, it's not always because they're incompetent for college. It's not because they're dumb. There are hundreds or maybe thousands of poorly financial students that lost their chance towards a scholarship because of more fortunate people that have the funds for lessons, that have the funds and money to get better education at schools, that don't have to work after school. They automatically have a huge advantage, and a pretty unfair advantage too in this case. Number four, without these scholarships, we are basically leaving the poor to be poor and help themselves. We are not helping them to develop or grow. For a lot of these unfortunate people, they are poor not because they're inherently incompetent, but it's because they've never been given a chance to actually develop or grow. They don't have the chance to test their capabilities. Number five, yes, some scholarships do offer to the poor, right? But not all of them. Only some of these scholarships are exclusive for the poor. But there are also a good number of scholarships that are only based off merit. And merit is very, very unfair because rich people obviously have a high advantage against these poor people. They have lessons, they have better schools, they just inherently have a better and bigger advantage here, right? So we say that this sum of scholarships that offer to the poor is nowhere enough. In countries like our own, in Indonesia, the middle class and below is easily the majority in our country. Most of our citizens are poor and don't have the financial capabilities or to sometimes even go to school. With just some scholarships doing this, there's no way we are going to be able to cater and give opportunities to the smart, talented, unfortunate people that don't have enough money to actually pay for education. Number five, wealthy people, right? They already have a place to compete, the normal route, the normal application for college, where they can compete with fellow financially complete people that can actually pay for universities, where they can compete with people that have the same privileges that they have whilst growing up. They already have a healthy environment, a competitive environment, where they can compete with each other to get that special spot in that special university. Number seven. Alright, lastly, university in the status quo is sadly a huge necessity towards getting an actual paying job, right? Without going to university, how are you going to get a job? Without going to a university, how are you going to get a stable income? Like, that is the sad truth about our status quo. If you don't have a degree from universities, right? odds are the actual paying jobs, they're always going to deny you. Like, there are a couple of offices like Google, Apple, that doesn't look at your university degree, but most of our like operations, right, in especially in Indonesia, they still always prioritize your degree first. Now, without giving the poor these scholarships towards the fullest, right, without giving them a chance, there's no way to get them good jobs, no way for them to get a stable income to finance their future children. They won't be able to finance their future children, right? This chain is just going to keep on going until when? When is the government finally going to realize and fix this problem? That moment is now. We must do it now, or else to these poor people, right? They are only going to get poorer and poorer and continue to struggle and continue to burden the country and others by not being able to contribute to our economy. They're basically a burden of our own cause. We caused them, right? This is our responsibility to actually make sure that they get the aid that they need, but we failed as the government. So this is not only just us doing our responsibility. This is a form of reparation, right? And like, the thing is with these poor people, right, it's going to cost more and more money from the gov to help them with food, shelter, etc. It's a double-edged sword that kills none other but both parties. It burdens the government and it tortures the poor. We're systematically depreciating them, and this is the time to stop that. Okay, number two, my second argument regarding effectiveness. Why will this create fairness? First of all, we have to talk about what is fairness in this case, equality or equity. There's a huge difference here. Equality means you're giving 2 apples to 2 people. Equity means you're giving 5 to 1 poor person and you're giving 1 apple to 1 rich person, okay? And this really matters, okay? If the 2 parties are neutral at the same standing with the same general needs, then equality would be the answer, right? But that is simply not the case. In our current status quo, it is pretty clear that the poor needs these scholarships way more than the rich or middle class. Unlike the rest of the demographic, these poor people can't get into universities no matter what except with a scholarship. Now, how will we deliver this equity? By, first of all, fixing the concept of scholarships in status quo right now. In status quo, there are 2 types of scholarship, financially based and merit based. What we will do in this government is that we will limit the scholarships only to the people that don't have the economic capabilities to pay for that college. We'll create an environment where people can compete according to their financial capabilities. Not only will this create a fair competition, but it will spark more hope and excitement towards people that are applying for these scholarships, because now they know that they have a more fair chance of actually getting accepted. Now they know that they don't always have to compete with the rich people that have unfair advantages. And why will this work, ladies and gentlemen? Because like I already stated before, in status quo right now, the middle class and below are objectively the majority. This policy is the policy that these people have been craving for ages. Our citizens need fair chances. Our citizens need the fair environment to compete and gain their prosperity. So with that, with the power of majority, we will obviously be supported by the society. But I know what you're thinking. When there are supporters, there are also going to be the rich and the middle class, right? Even if you want to say that we're being unfair towards the middle class and unappreciating their efforts, we say it's okay. Why? Because we've been unfair towards the poor as well this whole time. They've never had the chance or the privilege to actually study from a young age effectively. They've been systematically suppressed from getting jobs because they never had their rights to go to college and directly taken away. Inherently, there's always going to be a risk on a benefit. But for the benefits to the poor to actually getting a chance to grow and have a higher chance to develop, the benefit outweighs the harms, and that is why we so proudly propose this motion. Thank you very much.